say adios to the Congressional Black Caucus. I'm John Phillips, and this is After Hours. All the focus on Tuesday's primary election centered on Republican Senator Thad Cochran's win over Tea Party challenger Chris McDaniel. But there was another election that happened on that same day that will foreshadow political battles that are sure to happen in the future. In New York's Harlem-based 13th District, 22-year incumbent and founder of the Congressional Black Caucus, Charlie Rangel, barely hung on against Hispanic challenger State Senator Adriano Espaillat. In recent years, the once solidly black district has become 52% Hispanic, and race was a huge part of this campaign. What's interesting is that this demographic trend is true in many other traditionally black districts as well. And if President Obama gets his way with amnesty for between 11 and 20 million people, it's hard to see how there will be any majority black districts left in the West, the Southwest, and even the Southeast. In other words, black voting power and congressional representation will become marginal at best. Racial politics have always been the bread and butter of the Democratic Party, but what will they do when their policies cause the black vote to become irrelevant? Here to kick this around is the After Hours panel. She's the host of the Tammy Bruce Radio Show, which you can get online at tammybruce.com. Tammy Bruce. He's a very fair-minded civil rights defense attorney who you can get online at clearthecourt.com. Mr. Leo Terrell. And he's the PJTV contributor from his brand new home studio in the great state of Texas, although he's not wearing his cowboy hat. I wonder what happened, Mr. Scott Ott. And Tammy, we'll start with you on this because this is something that many people may not want to talk about because it's politically incorrect. But if amnesty happens, there aren't going to be any black districts left in the Southwest, the West, and the Southeast, will there?
Well, until we get to maybe some more redistricting. But I think that this is one of those that's like the law of unintended consequences, that nobody's talking about it and they should. I think, and this is my liberal coming out here, that there is a benefit to some kind of collective understanding about life experiences when it comes to African Americans or Hispanics or women or gays. And I think that that kind of representation, when you've got, advocacy, it's not a bad idea. But I don't think that when people voted in Barack Obama and are supporting his policies, all they need to do right now, though, is look at the quality of their lives. That, in fact, everything is changing. That maybe it's the fundamental transformation that they didn't expect. And the fact of the matter is also amnesty is happening because of the existing power of Hispanics and that vote in this country. I also don't think necessarily it would be a bad thing for, in this particular instance, the Congressional Black Caucus, because I don't know if it's really been helpful to African Americans in this country because we have not seen the quality of their lives improve with that representation.
Leo, you ran for Congress in the state of California, and you look at the black delegation of the California delegation. There used to be 4 seats.
Right.
It's now down to 3 because Laura Richardson lost to Janice Hahn.
Right.
You look at the demographics of Maxine Waters' district, that's a Hispanic district.
Right.
You have an amnesty, a Hispanic representative is going to be representing that district. Right. You look at Barbara Lee up in Oakland, that could easily become an Asian district once she goes. You look at Karen Bass here in Los Angeles, that could easily be a Hispanic district. You could see a scenario, in fact, a likely scenario, where there aren't any black representatives from the state of California.
Well, I do want to talk about it, and here's my Republican bit. I'm glad I sued the city of L.A. because the city councilman said, I'm going to create a black seat for the next 30 years. How dare him? It insults blacks to say, oh, I'm going to vote for the black guy simply because he's black? I hate this type of race politics, and that's why I'm suing the city of L.A. right now. I think it's a good thing. You know why? It tells people, let's vote for the candidate regardless of color. Barack Obama got his election jump-started because of a state called Iowa. 98% plus white voted for Barack Obama. I'm happy that it's over. And got news for you. It's not just the Democrats. The Republican, Thad Cochran, in a last-minute pitch, hey, black Democrats, vote for me. I'm better than the Tea Party guy. I hate race politics, Miss Bruce.
Well, now look, though, boy, you sound so fair today. It's
amazing. Oh, yeah. I got my conservative hat on.
Barack Obama only won Iowa because Edwards and Hillary split that vote. And the fact of the matter is that you can, of course, all of us want everybody to be voted for because they're the right candidate. The fact of the matter is we still have to see if there's going to be, well, we already have a problem with Republicans running or enough moderates running. We've got to make sure, though, that if you've got an African-American candidate, is that person going to be able to win those votes in a particular kind of district? And what about and about redistricting? Are those people who live in the district going to be able to run depending on if it's now majority Hispanic or and minority Black? Does that mean that Blacks are not going to get elected to office?
But listen, I did not vote for Barack Obama. Okay, I don't like race being a factor in selecting the best candidate. Period.
Let's go to Scott on this, because, Scott, you now live in the southwestern state of Texas. It's not the epicenter of the immigration battle like Arizona is with SB 1070 that they were debating and was a very controversial thing. But when you look at this and you look at the upcoming battle that we're going to have over amnesty, could you see Black voters, as we march towards a midterm election that's going to be very important in terms of how many votes are in the Congress for amnesty, can you see Black voters reconsidering their support of amnesty?
Well, yeah, I'm with Leo on this thing. This whole thing makes me sick. And when Tammy talked about the collective life experiences, I threw up a little bit in my mouth. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Shame on you, Tammy.
I think, frankly, what this is going to show, maybe with Charlie Rangel's squeezing out that victory, maybe the United Negro Congressman Fund is going to have to step up its support for our historically Black congressional districts. I mean, this just makes me retch. It's unbelievable. And really, the heart of the matter here is gerrymandering. The heart of the matter is that in the United States of America, where voters are supposed to pick their representatives, in fact, representatives are picking their voters.
That's a good point.
Well, let me respond to that, Scott, because it wasn't just Charlie Rangel that was playing the race card in that election. His opponent was essentially telling voters, this is now a Hispanic majority district, and you should vote for the Hispanic because we deserve representation in the district. So he was playing the race card just as much as Charlie Rangel.
Oh, I hate it on both sides, and I don't care who's doing it. I mean, the whole business in Mississippi was disgusting as well.
Yes.
You know, the idea here, here's the heart of it. If you're in a political party, you need to find a way to connect with as many people as possible so that you can have a majority. One party chooses to do that by basically playing race against each other in general. The other party tends to do that by saying, you know what, we all have shared values. We have ideas that are common to us. We all want to be free. We all want to have opportunity. We all want to have prosperity, and we don't care what color you are. Yeah. Unfortunately, history has shown in the last several decades that the first pitch is working better than the second one.
Let me just say, though, that you can embrace and understand the reality that people have different lives in this country, and that the experience of the Black male is different than my experience in this nation. This experience of gay people is different. The experience of women is different. And that there is a value, and Lord, I'm a conservative, and I don't want there to be bean counting, but we can't dismiss the fact that there are different life experiences. We may not like it, and we all want to get to the utopian place where it doesn't matter. But look, I support Mia Love because she's a conservative, but her experience as a Black woman and with immigrant parents matters. Because it makes a difference.
The president raises a hand to represent all Americans, and I'm telling you right now,
and they can do that too.
And I'm taking the position, but you don't use race as a factor.
It's not the only factor, but it matters in the sense of who we are and what we're becoming as a country.
Let's talk about the politics of this. You're studying political science at Claremont.
Did we fall through the rabbit hole? And is this the room of mirrors? When did this happen?
Yeah, we're flipped on that. Scott and I agree. We're on the same team.
Is this just like that Patty Duke movie where like the souls are switched?
What do you need is a British accent.
Yeah, right.
All right. Now, political coalitions are something that American political parties have to do because we're a winner-take-all system. And sometimes these coalitions make strange bedfellows. Look at the New Deal coalition that FDR used to win the election
the one that's been
4
used.
times.
It's now collapsing.
He had Northern ethnic whites read Catholics. He had Blacks, primarily in the South at the time. They had racist Southern whites, and they had Jews. And that was the coalition that made up the New Deal coalition. And it worked because it was an economic coalition that worked through the Depression.
Right.
But when the Depression went away and cultural issues became big, that coalition fractured because those 4 groups had nothing in common. Is the Democratic Party going to see a fracturing of their coalition when you have these tribal conflicts going on in all these districts like you just saw in Harlem?
Well, they've anticipated it. They've anticipated it, which is why they're going after women and young people. Now, that's also wobbly, but I think they're looking at the difference between using media, how to reach a certain group of people, and if you can get now what is the majority of the voter base, which is women, and young people as they're coming up, you could make up for the difference, especially if you're not going to be, if racial issues are a factor, economic issues are a factor. So they're trying to do it in this way. I don't know if it's going to work.
Well, the Democrats have also eliminated the white male voter in their big scheme. That's why there's this influx of Hispanic. They have basically written off white male. Again, race politics, which I totally am against. And that's what the Democrats are doing.
Right, but that's their coalition.
That's their coalition.
Well, that's why
but
they're
that's
hammering
wrong.
on birth control, and they're hammering on abortion, they're hammering on the equal pay, because now it's the white woman that they've been ignoring, that now they're pulling.
See, if we stay with economic issues and stay away from these social issues, I mean, it makes a
how
better
is
America.
that
But we
not
can't.
divided by race? What, so the unemployment rate among young black men is worse than the depression?
Economic issues, there's
that
a coalition
also divides up when it comes to race.
Well, let's get Scott in on this. Scott, is the Democratic Party coalition resting on a house of cards?
Well, yeah, and the problem with Tammy's scenario is, where does it end? Where do you decide that, okay, we've got enough groups represented? What percentage of the population do, historically German and Scottish ancestry people like myself have to be to be entitled to some sort of slice in
Talk about
Congress?
straw man.
Keep going, Scott.
And we just say, it's not a straw man, Tammy. You specifically talked about, say, well, blacks and women and gays, and we've got, it needs their collective life experience.
I want to see her party registration card.
That I would never expect anybody to say, hey, he needs a specific congressional district. Those congressional districts ought to be divided by population and population alone, and we just need to stop playing these games.
All right, well, let's just look into the future here, okay? Let's say amnesty passes, there's 20 million new people, and let's say the Black Caucus goes from whatever number they have now to a third of it, or maybe 25% of it. How upset are blacks going to be?
Well, I can't speak for African Americans. I would be very happy. I hate Black Congressional Caucus. I hate those terms because it keeps race as the forefront of the purpose of these organizations. I hate it. It's wrong. It should be eliminated.
And it also proved itself, though, to not really even be about race. When they really didn't want Allen West in there, when it was not about really the life experience of being a black person, but about leftist politics, that made the lie of it completely.
All right, Tammy Bruce, you get the last word. You can get her online at tammybruce.com. Leo Terrell, the fair-minded civil rights defense attorney. That you did. And Scott Ott, whose political satire books are available at Amazon.com. And if you want to say hi to him, switch planes at DFW. If you'd like to comment on today's...
After that last comment, we're together again.
Everybody hold hands. You want to comment on today's show, you can do so in the comment section below. For After Hours, I'm John Phillips. Thanks for watching.